Bring in from the Louisville Courier Journal, covering the Kentucky Wildcats. He's covered Virginia Tech in the past. Now getting it done, covering the Kentucky Wildcats here in the SEC. We bring in Kyle Tucker to help us talk about the Kentucky Wildcats for a few moments in our quick football flyby, getting you ready for all the teams in the SEC in 2012. Kyle, Vince Ferrara, and Mike Griffith. How you doing, Kyle?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, Kyle. We appreciate you coming on with us. So you wrote yesterday about Maxwell Smith going from spraining his face to starting at quarterback. Explain that, and then what we can expect from Max in this season as starting quarterback at Kentucky.
Yeah, pretty dramatic turn for him. This time last year, a little bit less than a year ago. He was a true freshman. Nobody expected him to play. Morgan Newton was struggling down at Baton Rouge against LSU, a team that obviously went on to play for the national championship. And in comes Maxwell Smith, and he drops back and gets smashed. And the Honey Badgers scooped up the fumble and took it in for a touchdown. And he got up pretty slowly. He told me a few days ago that he actually sprained his face on that play. And I said, that's a thing. And he said, yeah, it's a real thing. And he learned that in that game. And, that was actually the next. So he didn't come back in that game. And then the next game he played was at South Carolina, and he threw interceptions on his first two passes. So at one point, his 16th, 17th, and 18th throws or times he dropped back to pass in his career, he turned the ball over. It was pretty inauspicious start for the young guy, and it looked like after those two games early in the season, he was never going to be coming back. And then Morgan Newton went down, and several games later, and Max Smith had to step up, and he was just a totally different guy. The rest of the year he played pretty well. Played 4 games, started 3, averaged just about 200 yards passing per game. Threw 4 touchdowns and just 2 interceptions in those last 4 games, and really gave them some hope that he could be a viable quarterback. And he's just gotten better and better in spring and fall.
Kyle,
to the point that he's the clear choice.
I'm sorry, Kyle. Kyle Tucker joining us from the Louisville Courier Journal. Hit on the rest of that offense, including Deshaun Mobley, who's a local kid from Powell High School here in the Knoxville area. Hit on the impression, because Joker Phillips has had a lot of compliments for him. Hit on his camp, and then also the rest of that offense, some of the standout things here in just a moment.
Yeah, they think that Mobley and also another freshman running back, Justin Taylor, who had previously been an Alabama commitment, both bring something that they don't have or haven't had in a while, and that's just true power backs, big, strong guys that can move a pile, that can get you a couple of yards when there don't appear to be any yards to be had. Mobley is really impressive physically, 5'11", 225 pounds. They say he deadlifts easily over 600 pounds. Probably one of the most, if not the most physical, impressive physical specimen on the team. And he's in all the scrimmages and all the practices. He's been a guy that's gotten them some tough yards. And like I said, move the pile. That's kind of the phrase they keep using when they talk about him is, Mobley moves the pile and gets things done. And he's got a little bit of speed too. For that size, he's a power guy, but he's got some speed. You got to have some speed if you run for 3,000 yards in a single high school season. And so they're excited about him. I don't know that he's top 2 yet, just because of knowledge of the offense, and they've got several veteran backs. But I would be stunned if he doesn't play a good bit over the course of the year. They've basically already said he's going to play as a true freshman, and so it'll be interesting to see how much. Other places on the offense, I think they're excited because they think they may have found some big play threats in the passing game at wide receiver, which they absolutely lacked last year. They were the worst team in the country in terms of fewest plays of 20 yards or longer. I think they had 19. It was not a lot. So they think they found a guy in DeMarco Robinson maybe that can be the big play guy. He's been making plays in all their scrimmages. And then they've got a senior wide receiver with over 1,200 career receiving yards, Rod King, that has really stepped up, they say, this camp and has become a leader and has consistently making plays. He's caught, I think, 3 touchdowns in their 2 scrimmages. So they think they've got some guys. They think they've found some answers on offense. We'll have to wait and see.
Kyle, we just have another minute with you. We appreciate it. Hit on the defense, things that have stood out during camp, and then what is a realistic expectation for wins for this team this year?
Yeah, the defense, they're replacing 6 starters. I think it's going to be a little bit of a struggle at times. They're replacing all 4 linebackers and some really good ones, including Danny Trevathan, replacing 2 of their starting corners. The strength of this defense should be their defensive line. Mr. Cobble and Dante Rumpf are 2 huge defensive tackles inside, about 640 pounds between them, and that should be the strength. They could struggle in some of the other areas behind that front line. In terms of wins, I think they've, they're looking at somewhere between 4 and 6. And I think, 6 would be for them to get to a bowl game this year with all they've lost and as young as they are and the way things went last year, I think would surprise a lot of people. I don't think 4 wins would surprise too many people, and some people think they'll win less. But I think they're probably going to be in that 4 to 6 win range, and I think anything above 4 would probably be pretty solid for them, given how young they are. It's 28 freshmen and sophomores in the 2 deep at this point.
Kentucky will play, of course, here in Knoxville. That's the final week of the season, November 24th. If you want to track what's going on with Kentucky until then, you can follow Kyle Tucker at the Louisville Courier Journal, also on Twitter at KyleTucker_CJ. Kyle, great to talk to you. Really appreciate your insight on Kentucky. Have a great rest of the week. Appreciate you doing it.
Thank you. No problem.
All right, that's Kyle Tucker joining us with our preview of Kentucky here in 2012.